Hey guys, this is Chelsea Joy and this is going to be your 75-minute yin practice for Mandala Tree today. Now, the reason why there are these books here, you might be wondering, is because my good friend Karl Marx is going to be helping us out today. Basically, what we want is a couple blocks, or if in the case you don't have blocks like me, we're going to use books instead. Now, you want them to be about the same size as a typical yoga block. So about yay big and yay high and yay wide. And so basically we just want these to assist us today. And as always, it just goes to show we don't really need all the fancy Instagrammable equipment to do yoga and to be happy and to get into ourselves and to do yoga and just, get into what is meaningful. So very important today to have your blocks or your books. And we're going to go into the theme of vulnerability. So we're going to do some heart openers today. And I just want us to remember that we always create the space within us that makes us feel safe and that allows us to be vulnerable and to feel safe while we're in our vulnerability. Because, especially at times like this, when there's a lot of things up in the air for a lot of people in different realms, different echelons all over the world, I think it's really important that this time reminds us that just to come back to ourselves and to always come back to our innate internal sense of safety and of stability and of security, and feeling that it's okay to be vulnerable within yourself, because ultimately you always will create your own feeling of safety from within you despite external circumstances. So with that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start with the, I'll just call them blocks for the sake of this class. We're going to start with them at a diagonal away from us. We're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose, but what we're going to do is we're going to put pillows just underneath our knees. Now, if you don't have a mat, like I don't, you just definitely want to use the pillows. If you have quite strong knees that are tolerant to a little bit of hardwood floor, don't have to use the pillows. What we're going to start with before we come down to the child's pose is just make sure that your hips are placed nicely between your heels. And we're going to start placing our hands just between our knees. And we're just going to start wiggling back and forth just a few times. And we're going to do this to the breath. So I want us to start to allow our breath to become nice and slow and controlled. So no matter what was happening in your day today, might be the kids, might be the husband, might be work, might just be some craziness happening in your life where it feels a bit all over the place. No matter what happened today or this week, I want us to just close our eyes. And with this rocking motion, side to side, just bringing it into the breath. So rocking from one side, breathing in, rocking to the other, and breathing out. Huge breaths. I want them to be the biggest breaths you've ever taken in your life. So big breath in, expanding the belly outward. Slow breath out, contracting the belly towards the spine. Beautiful. And really, really slowly, you can keep your eyes closed if you'd like. We're going to walk our hands outward in front of us. And actually, you might need to open your eyes, I just realized for this. We're going to bring the books a little bit closer to us. Place our elbows just down on top of the books. Hands into prayer position. And just bring your head between your arms and rest your third eye just on the ground. Now, if this feels a little uncomfortable to start, we can always move the books away from each other a little wider and do the same here. And this will be a bit of a gentle opener to begin with. Feel free to point your feet out or point your feet straight back, whatever feels good for you and your body today. And this is quite intense as our knees are quite wide. So you're going to feel this in your hips. And I encourage you just to stay with that feeling. The balance between effort and ease. Breathing in, breathing out. Feel free to bring your arms down if that feels nice, and back up. Whatever feels good today. And feel free to adjust as necessary. I'm gonna bring my feet together behind me. That doesn't feel nice for everyone though, so see, it all depends on the way that your hips are built, essentially. So if you have wide hips like I do, you can bring your feet together behind you and that's not going to feel uncomfortable. If you're more petite in your hips, then that might feel uncomfortable, and bring your feet back out behind you. And just see what feels good. And we're just going to use our hands again, use our arms. So bring the arms up and down. Connecting it with the breath. Now, if at this point you feel like you can go for a little bit of a bigger stretch or do something a little different, you can bring the books together, closer together, even touching, and then bring those shoulders closer. The elbows closer, almost touching, hands to prayer, and squeezing your head between those arms and placing the head onto the ground. And then we're going to do that beautiful up-down movement again with our hands. This is going to feel like a little massage for the shoulders. So bringing your hands all the way down to the ground in front of you. You can even tap those fingers onto the ground and slowly, slowly bring your hands all the way back up till the thumbs touch the nape of your neck. Doing this to the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, when you move your arms to a place where you feel the ultimate stretch, I want you to keep them there. I'm going to test that out myself and see where I feel that ultimate stretching point. For me, it's right here. I'm going to keep my arms right there. Wherever the stretching point is for you, I want you to keep your hands there as well, your arms, and pressing your hands together even more in that space. And keeping them there for 3 breaths. Big breath in, slow breath out. Beautiful. Bringing the head up. Wow. Resting the forearms on top of those blocks or books. Excellent. And we're just for a moment going to bring the knees together. We are going to come back into a child's pose momentarily, but I want you to just bring the knees together, and I want us to wiggle our hips back and forth, just to bring some life back into our hips. I bet you can feel this at the moment. All right, brilliant. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to bring the knees out, not quite as wide as they were before, not in a full splayed-legged child's pose, but we're going to bring them out about a foot between our knees. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna rest so we're gonna, almost as if our palms are facing down, we're gonna rest our forearms down onto the books or the blocks. You might need to move your books so that they're horizontal in front of you. And then we're gonna move our knees backward. So for me, I'm walking my knees backward, and we're gonna come into a melting heart position. So basically you're gonna have your third eye on the ground. I'll turn to the side momentarily just so I can show you guys. Actually, yeah, I'll just completely turn to the side so I can show you guys. Boop, boop, boop. All right. All right, so third eye to the ground and walking the knees backward, coming into a melting heart. Yeah, it's kind of like a cute little puppy pose. And I want us to press our fingertips into the ground in front of us. This is going to feel different for a lot of people. And the idea of this is to eventually get it so that your chest is pressing onto the ground. I don't feel so open in that place today, and not all of us will. But if you do, that's fantastic, and if you are at that point, you can always press one cheek to the ground. For me, I'm keeping my forehead down on the ground. Make sure as well that you're not tucking the bum in. Again, this class is all about vulnerability, so we don't want to tuck the butt. We want to just allow the butt to to just be natural in this, not holding on to tension in the glutes at all. And feel free to adjust your knees as necessary. Ideally, your thighs will be exactly vertical from the floor going upward. But it's about playfulness for me over perfection. So just allow yourself to move those hips back and forth a few times, just like a puppy. Like a playful puppy. And I want us to take a few big breaths in here. And as we sway from one side, you're going to feel that in those shoulders. Such a nice feeling. Feel free to grab your hands in front of you. Your hands together in front of you, if you'd like. Or you can keep your palms pressed down to the ground. Your fingertips pressed into the ground, whichever feels nice. For me, I feel as though when you grab your palms, this can add to that nice stretching sensation in your arms and your biceps. It's really nice. Beautiful. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, walking yourself back up. That's a very intense pose. It's so nice. And then just sinking your hips back just for a moment. Beautiful. All right. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna face towards you guys again. And we're gonna bring the blocks out. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna come onto our bums. So just come onto our glutes. And if you have a mat, that's great. If you feel like you want a bit more cushioning under your bum, you can always put the pillows under there as well. What we're gonna do is I'll actually show you because it's a little different. But to start, we're gonna bring both sets of books or both blocks over to one side. We're going to place one leg over the books so that the ankle, so you can have the books faced either way. So you can have them lengthwise, or you can have them so horizontally or vertically, whichever feels nice. But we're gonna make sure that basically they're quite nice and stable. So these books do move around a bit, so I might need to adjust them. Might be the same for you. Now, if you feel very open in your hips and your hamstrings, you can use both of the blocks on top of each other. And you can place your leg right over so that your ankle is right over the edge of the book. And then you can place the pad of your left foot against your right thigh here. Grab on if that's in your range and you have short little legs like me. If not, and you have long, lovely legs, you can grab onto that lovely towel that we used last time, pulling yourself forward. Wherever you're at today, bring the arm, the left arm up all the way overhead. Big breath in. And slowly as you exhale, just exhaling over that leg. Now, the straighter you get this leg, the more you're going to feel that in your hamstring. What I like to do, I'm hypermobile myself, so it's easy for me to fold into this kind of pose and rest my head on my knee to straighten it. For not everyone is in that same position, and so for them, you guys can rest your arms on top of your knee and press down to give you that stretch, whatever feels nice today. You can also grab the pillow or the bolster and press down, and that's going to help you straighten that leg and help with that stretch. Wherever you're at today, we are going to be here for a few minutes, so let's get comfortable and make sure. You can always adjust later too. All right, all the way down wherever you're at. Big breath in, slow breath out. These forward folds are always really nice because they're very calming and they just really calm our nervous system down and send us to a quieter place, which is really nice. And we will be here for a few moments. A few minutes, I should say. So we're just going to relax into this and melt into this. Also, let your foot hang heavy. I was just holding it into quite a rigid motion with my toes pointed up, but I actually encourage you to just let that drop for this pose here. And just relax. And if at any point you feel you want to adjust the books or make it a little stronger stretch, you can move the books outwards so that your heel is placed on top of the books rather than hanging off the edge. And then come down again. That's going to give you a little bit of a deeper stretch in those hamstrings. So for the last couple minutes on this side, we'll just do that little deeper stretch. Big breath in, slow breath out. Remembering with every exhale, we can come a little bit deeper into this. just pushing yourself a little bit more in these last few breaths in this pose. Take 3 more breaths. Huge breath into the belly. Slow breath out. Slowly, slowly, coming all the way back up to center. Goodness. Just really quickly, we're going to place both of our feet out in front of us and come all the way down. We won't be here for too long. This is just a recalibration. Walking the legs out, walking the knees up and down, up and down. All right. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So just bring the, sorry, I keep going like this to my nose. The pollen is pretty intense here in London, so I keep feeling like I have to sneeze. So bring the books onto the other side. Again, we always feel a little different as humans on one side to the other. So maybe on this side, you're not going to feel as intensely. Maybe you'll feel more intense, but you can start off, with one block or both blocks, whichever you feel more comfortable with. For me, I'll use both blocks, all books on top of each other. And we're going to place, firstly, the leg on top of the books. Bring that right pad of your foot to the inside of your thigh. Make sure that your heel's just hanging off the edge of the book so that your ankle is just on the edge here. Grab onto the foot if you'd like, grab onto the pillow if you'd like. Just make sure you have the pillow nearby you just in case you want to rest on it later. Arm all the way up over the head, big breath in. Slowly, slowly bring that hand to meet the other. And when you're ready, you can relax your head on top of your knee, or if this is feeling a little bit less flexible on this side, you can bring the pillow just here and just rest on top of it. In any case, remember you'll get the biggest stretch if you keep that leg straight, so if you keep that knee down. So you can feel free to adjust the books as necessary to make sure that leg is nice and straight. And we'll be here for a few minutes, so just relaxing whatever way feels nice for you. Keeping the foot soft on the left side. And take a big breath into the belly, expanding out the ribs. Remember, if you don't feel that, we want to feel this in the hamstring. So if you're not feeling it in the hamstring yet, feel free to adjust the books and bring them out a little bit further out in front of you to feel a little bit of a bigger stretch. Make sure that knee is straight, not bent, to feel a bigger stretch. Breathing into it, huge breath into the belly. And a slow breath out, all the way out. And now we'll move the books a little bit further away from us if you feel you'd like a bigger stretch. If not, please stay where you are. But we're going to move the books a little bit more away so that now our heel is on the books as well. Before our heel was hanging off, and now our heel should be on the books. So we'll just place it down there, and then again bringing the head down, you'll feel an even bigger stretch now. Basically, we've now assisted our legs so that we're creating that energy all the way from our heel down into our hip. We should feel that even more in our hamstring. And by the way, I should mention that if you're not feeling it enough at all, make sure your knee and your leg isn't rolled out. You want that whole leg to be rolled in so that your knee is pointed all the way up towards the ceiling. And the more inward that leg is pointing, the more when you come down, you're going to feel that in the hamstring. So just to keep that in mind as well. Roll it in, roll that foot in, and you'll feel it more in the hamstring. We'll be here for another couple minutes. So just relaxing into that. Reconnecting the breath. So taking a big breath in, expanding out through the ribs. A long breath out. Slowly coming all the way back up. Ah, goodness. And then placing that foot down, placing again both feet in front of us, legs out in front, coming down just quickly into a very simple Paschimottanasana just for a few breaths. Slowly coming all the way back up to center. Alrighty, brilliant. So what we're gonna do now is let's see, should I face sideways? Yes, I'll face sideways. I had to think which side is best to show you guys on. I think it's sideways. So we're gonna keep our bolster near us. Make sure everything's moved out of the way behind us. And we're gonna bring our blocks. So such heavy books. Bring our books or blocks behind us here. And this time, we're going to start just in a simple cross-legged position. Or you can do half lotus or full lotus if you want more of a challenge. For me today, I'm just going to do cross-legged. And we're going to place palms down, fingers outward, our hands on top of the books here. Now my books, I can feel they're already moving around a little bit. So just adjust them to how they feel nice, to where they feel nice and stable. Again, creating your own sense of stability. And then we're going to press our palms into the books and allow our head to fall back. Big breath in. Slow breath out. And be here just for a few breaths. This is just a recalibration pose. Big breath into the belly, expanding the belly on the inhale, deflating the belly on the exhale. Slowly bring the head all the way back up. Grabbing the hands in front of us. And as you embrace your hands, I want us to push our palms outward here. Big breath in, bringing the palms all the way up to the ceiling. And just folding forward momentarily. All the way forward. Three big breaths here, deep into the belly. And slowly, slowly, coming all the way back up. Ah, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come onto our knees and we're gonna do a very, very intense saddle pose. So if you don't have a mat like I don't have, just bring the pillow underneath your knees, like so. If you do have a mat, you might still need cushioning under your knees because it can be a bit intense on the knees sometimes. And we're going to make sure our books are behind us. My books are a bit laid out here. We're just make sure they're behind us. And we're gonna, again, just going to do the same thing. So we're going to place our palms downward onto our block/books and then press outward. So we have our knees about mat width, a little less than mat width distance, and our feet are pointing directly behind us, and just allow the head to fall back again. But really press out, so you don't want to sink in, you want to press out with your hands, so you're creating that beautiful stable base for yourself with your hands, with your arms, and with your shoulders. Closing the eyes if that feels nice for you. My books are sliding a little bit. Huge breath in. Slow breath out. And just wiggling back and forth a few times. Back and forth. Just warming us up because we're about to go into a full saddle using the blocks. So we're gonna come all the way down. Boop, boop, boop. Placing our elbows or our forearms down onto the books or blocks. And then coming down. Now you can come all the way down to a full saddle. You can even use your bolster and place your bolster underneath your lower back. But today, and if you'd like to do this, that's fantastic. Just place your elbows down to the books and just allow that to support you and allow your elbows to support you. All about allowing us to remember that we always have an internal sense of support that's always there at the ready for us. And it's something that we create within us rather than anything that can be created externally. Really important. Using a bit of resourcefulness, we can always find a way to support ourselves in yoga as much as in life. It's been a big journey for a lot of us, I think, at this time. Big breath in. Slow breath out. When you're ready, bring your head all the way back up to center, pressing into the books or blocks, and then coming all the way back up. Bringing the knees all the way together, and then just coming down into a really gentle child's pose. It doesn't matter if it's knees open or closed, we're just going to be here for a few breaths. We're going to wiggle our hips side to side, bringing some life back into those hips. Huge breath in. Pausing at the top of the breath. And 2 more big breaths like that. And slowly, we're going to just walk ourselves back up and come to sitting on your bum. So again, just make sure we have the bolster close by, please. So I'll put that actually to this side. And we're going to make sure, again, we have our books at the ready when we need it. So just next to us here. Scoot. Where'd my pillow go? I have a mass of pillows here. All right, coming all the way down to our back. Making sure you're well supported under your back. All right, and this time we're going to place our left heel. We're going to place that on top of our right knee. Now, make sure you have those books handy because we're going to use those books to help us in Twisted Roots. So feel free to bring both of those legs all the way over and see how this feels. If you don't need that much of a cushioning under the knee, you can take away some of the books and just maybe use one book. I think for my case today, I'll use one book. I'll use nice Karl Marx here. Placing that hand on top, placing the right hand on top of the left knee, and we want to bring that left hand, left arm all the way over and just dropping that, reaching away from us, looking over to the side, to the left side where our left hand is, pointed outward into this nice big twist. Now, if you're not feeling that yet, what you can do is make sure that your legs are nice and twisted. That's creating this beautiful ringing out sensation just from the midsection. And we want our belly to go nice and heavy here. So if you feel you're holding on to any tension in the belly, I encourage you to just breathe in deeply and breathe it out. Breathe out all the tension. Make sure that your left shoulder is opening. It's in this Twisted Roots, because this is a very vulnerable pose. The opening of the shoulders, the opening of the heart space, and the twist at the same time. Often we can find ourselves closing in that left shoulder, closing in that shoulder that should be very open. So I encourage us just to press the underside of that left shoulder into the ground as well, so that both shoulders are pressed into the ground, opening your heart up to the sky. Take 3 big breaths here to calibrate, recalibrate in fact. We will be here for a few moments, so I'll give us all some space to just breathe and relax. And if you feel still that you're holding on to any tension in the shoulders, I encourage you just to drop that as much as possible. And in our last few breaths, I want to see how far we can twist into this, allowing that exhale to guide us. Big breath in, slow breath out. Slowly bringing both legs back to center, and then very gently keeping the feet together, just windshield wiping our feet, our legs, our knees, side to side. Windshield wiping just to bring life back into them and to see how differently we feel, and to bring our awareness into both sides, to see how we feel on one side and then on the other. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to move Mr. Karl Marx all the way over to the other side. And then doing the same, so bringing the right ankle on top of the left knee, and then we're going to slowly come over, and as we come over, we're going to bring that knee completely over. And resting it on the book. You might feel on one side you need extra. I think on this side I need one extra book. Get nice and comfy. Make sure that left hand is just supporting on top of that right knee. Bring the right arm over, twisting all the way. Wringing yourself from the midsection. Feels so nice. Let's take 3 big breaths here just to recalibrate. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Beautiful. When you're ready, just completely relaxing down, making sure the right shoulder is nice and pressed into the ground, making that nice opening through the heart space. Again, this can be a bit of a vulnerable pose as we're doing this twist, which feels a little awkward for some people. And we're also opening up our heart space to the sky. So just becoming comfortable with that feeling of vulnerability. And we're just going to make sure that through our breath, we're guiding ourselves even deeper into this twist. So let's take another big breath in. Slow breath out, twisting a little bit deeper. Maybe it means moving those legs even more towards the ground. Maybe it means removing a book or a block. And coming further into that twist. slowly, slowly. Legs back to center. Feet together and windshield wipering them all the way side to side. Beautiful. And when you're ready, I'm actually going to move my pillows out. We're going to use the blocks again, block/books. And we just want the size of about 1 block. So, let's see. Maybe about that. Okay, and we're going to place those blocks just underneath our tailbone. So, we want it to feel like a nice shelf for our whole pelvis. So just make sure it feels comfortable. You don't want to be feeling a pinching or an uncomfortable sensation, but we're going to bring our legs out in front of us straight. If this feels really uncomfortable, keep your knees bent and keep your legs up as you see here. But if this is okay, just bring your legs out, straight out in front of you. And stage 2. We're gonna lock our thumbs, bring our arms up all the way out in front of us. Oops. Beautiful. And if at this point you think, oh, it doesn't feel so comfy, you can always adjust as necessary. Either move the books up or down, but just remember the book should act as a shelf for your pelvis here. So you feel your tailbone nice and supported. And feel free to just allow your legs to splay out in front of you. You don't need to hold them rigidly. And just relaxing here. Huge breath into the belly, expanding the belly. And all the way out, allowing the belly to come in towards the spine. Let's take 4 big breaths like that, expanding the belly. And when we reach the 4th breath, just encourage you to relax completely, just sink completely into your mat. We'll be here for a few minutes. So just melting here. As women, we hold a lot of tension in our hips. As humans, we hold a lot of tension in our hips, but speaking for the women, you know, our hips, our womb space, that's a very feminine place. And we tend to hold a lot of our stored emotion in there. So certain poses, such simple ones like this, can really bring out some interesting emotions around vulnerability. And I just, through this practice in this pose, I encourage us all just to stay with it. Stay with anything that comes up. And just enjoy that vulnerability while we're here. Take 4 more big breaths into the belly here. Beautiful. Slowly bringing the arms just next to you. Slowly bringing the feet up. And we're just really gently going to remove those books from underneath us. And just move them to the side so they're still accessible. And we're going to sit just for a moment in a butterfly, a reclined butterfly. So pads of the feet together. And spreading the knees wide, and we're just going to windshield wiper our butterfly just a couple times, a few times, and then we're going to bring our knees all the way to our chest, evening out that very gentle back bend we just did, assisted back bend. All right. Wonderful. Alrighty, now we are going to come back up and we're going to move just momentarily. We're going to move the books this time under our chest area, so right under our heart space, right under the space right here. You can also use your bolster as well. I'm going to use the books today, but you can also use the bolster by just bringing the bolster behind you. This probably isn't the best bolster to use for what we're going to do, but because it's quite flat. But the idea is that we want this just under our heart space. But I'm going to use the books today. So books just under. So the bottom edge should hit the bottom edge of your ribs, and then coming all the way back. I'm actually going to move my pillow because I want a really deep stretch today. And see how this feels just while you lay here. See if you might need to move the books a little bit further up or further down. Again, ideally the bottom edge of the book should be at the bottom edge of your ribs. But the idea is we want this part of our chest to be as propelled up to the ceiling as possible. Alrighty. And I'm going to keep my legs in butterfly. You can keep your legs straight out if you'd like, whatever feels nice, but remembering this practice is about vulnerability today, and butterfly is a beautiful, vulnerable, feminine move. Bring our arms all the way up overhead and just dropping them wherever they may lay. This is quite nice as well because it's for the shoulders, and the edges of the books might give you a little bit of massage into your shoulders depending on how big the books are. So it can have a bit of a dual purpose, which is nice. Take 2 recalibrating breaths in and out. Slow, controlled. And slowly all the way out. And when you're ready, get nice and comfortable because we will be here for a little bit, a few minutes. Now, if you feel you're holding on to tension in your shoulders, I'd encourage you just to roll them out and then just drop that tension as much as possible. If you feel you're holding any tension in your hips or your knees, just allow them to soften. Allow the tummy to soften as well. In this very vulnerable pose, shining our heart towards the sky, we can sometimes find ourselves holding on to tension in our tummies as well, because our solar plexus area is on the upper side of our tummies, just above our ribs here. This is our space of self-esteem and confidence, and our feelings about can be about safety as well, and about our willingness to share. And so this can be a very vulnerable area, and so just allowing that to express is really nice. So meaning letting go of that tension, letting it to soften. Very nice. we're going to be here for another couple minutes. So I just encourage everyone to just pay attention to any little space that we feel we're holding on to tension, and that we feel we're holding on to, that we're holding on, and just to drop that a little bit more. Now very gently we're going to bring our knees together. Windshield wiper our knees side to side. Really, really gently. Taking a big breath in. Slow breath out. And when you're ready, coming all the way back up. It can feel so hard to get up after these poses, after the heart opening poses. And we're going to move the books and we're going to come down into Shavasana. So feel free to bring your pillow underneath your knees. Feels really nice. Boop. And simply laying back. And just take notice of where in your body you feel warmth, where in your body you feel the energy circulating. Maybe it feels like it's vibrating or pulsating or tingling. Take notice of those areas around your body where you might feel this sensation. And just bring it love and acknowledgement, and thank that part of your body for supporting you today. Imagine that every point which is touching the mat or the ground is sinking into that mat or ground. Imagine that your tailbone, all the way into your hips, your spine, all the way into the backs of your ribs and your shoulders, your elbows and your hands, the back of your head. Imagine it's all heavy and sinking into the ground. Recalibrating to the breath. Big breath in. Slow breath out. 3 more breaths like this. And let's just pay attention to where we might be holding on to the tension in our face. Maybe it's in our forehead, around our eyes, on the sides of our nose, and our cheeks, our cheekbones, around our mouth, and our lips, in our jaw, and in our neck. If you feel you're holding on to any tension there at this time, just put your attention in that space and let that space melt. And tell that space it's okay to soften. It's okay to be vulnerable. For me, it's often my forehead, so I put my hand there, almost as if you'd reach out to the hand of a small child and say, it's okay. Sometimes we need to parent ourselves and remind ourselves that it's okay. Slowly, when you're ready, bringing your knees to your chest, rolling over to the right-hand side, and slowly making your way all the way back up. All right. Just placing your hands on top of your knees and guiding your shoulders down to the ground. Let's just do a couple head rolls here. All the way back and all the way around. Big breath in. And all the way out. Thank you for joining me today for this 75-minute yin practice for Mandala Tree. I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your week. Namaste.